The man who gave everything away. He had more than he needed. This was a fact he knew the way he knew his own name simply, without examination, without questioning whether it meant anything. He had more than he needed. And somewhere in the lower quarter of the city, people had less than they could survive on. These two facts had coexisted in his mind for 53 years without ever touching each other. Until the morning they did. His name was Aldric. Merchant. Widower. 53 years old. He had spent his life building things with the focused discipline of a man who learned early that the world gives nothing without being asked twice. A house with 7 rooms. A warehouse full of cloth and grain. A reputation that opened doors before he knocked. He was not a cruel man. He gave to the temple on the appropriate days. He paid his workers fairly. He did not cheat or steal or take what wasn't his. He was a good man. By every accounting system available to him. He was also empty. Not unhappy. Not broken. Just empty. The way a room is empty after the person who made it a room is gone. His wife Elena had died 4 years before. Quietly. 11 days of fever. Aldric had sat beside her bed and felt, for the first time in his life, the complete uselessness of everything he had built. The warehouse. The 7 rooms. The reputation that opened doors. None of it meant anything in that room. After she died he went back to work. Because work was what he had. The morning everything changed. He was walking to meet a supplier. He had walked this market 1,000 times. He knew every stall. Every face. Every smell. He did not know the child sitting at the edge of the road. Small. Maybe 7. The kind of thin that goes past thin into something that takes a moment to look at directly. She was not begging. That was the thing. Every beggar in this market Aldric had learned to walk past, not cruelly, just practically, the way you learn to walk past things that are always there until you stop seeing them clearly. But this child was not begging. She was just sitting. Watching the market with large dark eyes. Eating nothing. Aldric stopped. People moved around him. The market continued its noise. And he stood there and looked at this girl, and something happened inside him that he had no name for. Not pity, something older than pity, something that came from a place below thought, below decision, and he understood in that moment that he was not going to walk away. He didn't know why. He just wasn't. He bought bread from the nearest stall. He walked to the child and held it out. She looked at the bread. Then at him. The particular caution of someone who has learned that things offered can also be taken back. She took it. She ate it the way very hungry people eat. Not fast. Completely. Every piece. Every crumb. Aldric stood there and watched and felt the empty room inside him do something it had not done in 4 years. Open a window. Just slightly. Just enough. Her name was Myra. She had a brother. 8 years old. Thomas. Sick in the lower quarter. Aldric found him in a space between 2 buildings, a roof of old timber, a blanket that had been a blanket once. The boy was feverish. But beside him, within careful reach, a cup of water. The blanket's cleanest corner folded under his head. Myra had done this. A 7-year-old girl arranging what little she had with the precision of someone who understands that small things are the only things she controls. Aldric stood in the entrance of this not room for a long time. Then he took the boy to his house, called his physician, gave them the room at the end of the hall. His housekeeper Agnes, a practical woman who had seen many things, appeared in the doorway that evening. "Will they be staying?" she asked. Aldric thought about it. "Yes," he said. He started going to the lower quarter every morning. Not with a plan. Just going. Walking streets he had never walked. Seeing faces he had always been too busy to see. Stopping when something stopped him. He bought food. Paid for physicians. Found empty buildings and arranged for families to use them. The warehouse began to empty. Agnes kept a ledger not to stop him. She understood that stopping him was not the point, but because someone had to keep track. "You have given away a third of everything," she told him at the end of the first year. He looked at the ledger. "Yes," he said. "You don't seem concerned." He thought about it honestly. "I'm not," he said. The warehouse had been full and he had been empty for 4 years. Now the warehouse was emptying. And he was not full, but less empty. The room with the open window. One evening Myra found him in his study. She was 8 now. Standing in the doorway with her arms at her sides and the directness that had survived everything without getting worn down. "Why do you do it?" she said. Aldric looked up. He thought about the answer carefully. Because she deserved a careful answer. "Something changed," he said. "I saw you in the market and something changed. I don't know what it was or what it's called." A pause. "But since then keeping it feels wrong. Giving it feels right. I spent my whole life following what feels right in business. I don't see why this should be different." Myra was quiet for a moment. "Elena," she said. He looked up sharply. "Agnes told me her name," she said, unashamed. "Your wife." Is that why he thought about the empty room? The window. The 4 years of going back to work because work was what he had. "Maybe," he said. "Or maybe she would have done this herself. And I never did it while she was alive because I was too busy building things. And now." Myra finished for him. "Now you have time." He looked at her. 8 years old. "Yes," he said quietly. "Now I have time." He gave away the warehouse in the 3rd year. Converted it into a place where the sick could be brought and looked after, staffed first by people he paid, then by people who heard about it and came because they wanted to be part of it. Agnes ran the accounts. Dwindling. Always dwindling. "You have 1 year of funds remaining," she told him in the 5th year. "Something will come," he said. Agnes looked at him with the expression she had developed specifically for these conversations, not quite exasperation, not quite faith. Somewhere between. Something always came. A donation. A family giving what they could. Hands appearing at the door asking to help. Never comfortable. Never surplus. Always enough. A traveler came through the city in the 6th year. He had no house, no warehouse, no servants. He traveled with a small group of men who looked like fishermen and farmers, and one who looked like he had been something else before and was still deciding what he was now. He heard about the merchant who was giving everything away. He came to find him. Aldric was in the converted warehouse sitting beside an old woman who had no one to sit with her, doing nothing except being present, which had taken him 3 years to understand was sometimes the only thing needed. The traveler sat down across from him. They looked at each other. "Why are you doing this?" the traveler asked. The same question Myra had asked. Aldric gave a different answer this time. Because 6 years had passed and he understood it differently now. "Because I had more than I needed," he said. "And I finally saw the people who had less. And once you see them," he paused, "you can't unsee them. And once you can't unsee them, keeping what you have feels like stealing." The traveler was quiet. "Most men see them," he said, "and keep walking." "Yes," Aldric said. "Why didn't you?" Aldric thought about the market, the bread, the child who wasn't begging. "She wasn't asking," he said. "She was just there. Everyone walks past the ones who are asking. But she wasn't asking. She was just existing." And something in that he stopped. "I don't know. Something in that wouldn't let me keep walking." The traveler looked at him for a long moment. "Blessed are the merciful," he said quietly. "Not as performance. Not as pronouncement. Just as recognition. The way you recognize something you have seen before and are glad to see again. For they shall receive mercy." He stood to go. Aldric watched him leave through the door, into the street, back to wherever he was going, which was somewhere else and apparently always somewhere else. He did not know the man's name. He did not need to. Some things are not given in names. They are given in the particular quality of being seen. And for a moment in that converted warehouse beside an old woman who had no one to sit with her, Aldric had felt it, the thing he had been giving to others for 6 years, given back. He sat with it, let it settle, then went back to the old woman and her story. Aldric was 67 when he died. The small room at the back of what had been his house. One window, Myra was there. Thomas. Agnes with her ledger. People from the lower quarters standing in the hallway, the garden, the street outside. Not grief exactly, not ceremony. Just the instinct to be near the ending of a particular light. Myra held his hand. "Are you afraid?" she asked. He thought about it. "No," he said. Surprised by his own answer. "No." He looked at the window. "There's more," he said. "More what?" He was quiet for a moment. "More," he said simply. "I can feel it." His eyes closed. Lift. Pause. Release. And then stillness. The ordinary afternoon light came through the window. Ordinary gold. Ordinary dust moving in it. He had looked at this light his whole life. He had not always seen it. They buried him on the hill above the city. No monument. Just his name. And below it, 4 words he had chosen himself. He gave it away. Thomas became a physician. He named his first son Aldric. He told him the story every year: the market, the bread, the girl with the large dark eyes who wasn't begging. Why did he stop? The boy asked once. Because she wasn't asking, Thomas said. Everyone walks past the ones who are asking. It's easy. You tell yourself you'll help later. That someone else will. That there are too many. He paused. But she wasn't asking. She was just there. And he saw her, really saw her. And once you really see someone. He looked at his son. At his father's name. At the building across the road. Still open, still full. It's very hard to walk away. The boy was quiet for a moment. Could anyone do it? He said. What he did. Thomas thought about a traveler who came through once and said something and left without giving his name. Blessed are the merciful. Yes, he said. Anyone. He meant it.